I want the freedom to run, to climb, to disconnect in my own space. My camera, my vision, nothing in between. The freedom to create and recreate. To capture that perfect shot while staying connected to my team. The freedom to know that we can deliver where and when we want. The freedom to just be me. The freedom to move.
Hi everybody, welcome all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from today. My name is Alex Lopez, I'm the product specialist with the community team at Capture One, and I'm super excited to be your host today. First of all, thank you all for joining. We appreciate you having with us today, and it's in general a very exciting day for everyone at Capture One today because we've been working so hard these past months to bring you today our new iPhone app. This is our first global presentation, and I also wanted to thank not only you for coming and showing up, but also our product team for working all of this time to make this possible. So thanks everyone. And then secondly, I wanted to also thank our partners, B&H and Wex Photo Video, who have been supporting this campaign from the very beginning. They are also streaming through their channels. So hi, and also welcome to anybody who is watching us from either B&H's channel or Wex's Facebook. So this was our campaign video with Kayla Connor. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope it gave you a little bit of a taste of what the iPhone app is about and who's it for. And there is actually a lot to it, and there is a lot of things that it can do. So we hope that during this live stream, you will get a better understanding of it. We have some very special guests today to help us with this purpose. So we will have two different photographers joining from New York City and also London. So we have Brandi Nicole joining from New York and Rebecca Spencer joining from London. Both super talented portrait photographers, amazing work. Go check them out. We'll put the Instagram handles later on the screen so you can go check their work because it's truly fantastic. And we are super honored to have them with us today. So we'll have the chance to chat a little bit with them towards the towards the end of the stream. We'll have an interview with them. We prepare some exciting contents for you. And we will also see the app in action through some videos they created for us. But before we do that, we also have another very nice guest, which is our very own David Grover, who is the Global Manager of Product Training at Capture One. And I'm sure you possibly know him already. He's the person who is creating all of these tutorials and amazing live streams through the years. I'm sure that many of us have watched and learned Capture One Pro through the years with him. So it's super exciting for me to have him also with us today to also demo and introduce to us the iPhone app. So let's bring him up without further ado. Hello, David.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. Very good. Thanks for inviting me on. It's nice to actually be on this side of the live stream, being a guest as opposed to actually having to run it with all the technical stress that goes with that. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So David, first experiences with the iPhone app.
Yeah, it's been great, actually. I was using it just past weekend, just hanging out with the kids at the skate park and shooting some stuff there for the instructor as well. And it was nice just to be able to have something pretty much finished there and there in my hands, send him a Capture on Live link and deliver pretty much the next day. But also being able to put, a style on it and have something much closer to how I would edit it as opposed to just showing some on the back of the camera. So yeah, it's been great fun using it.
Great. So you already gave us some nice hints from your experience about what is this app for actually. I'm just going to ask you straight away because I'm sure that many people out there don't know yet. So I'm just going to ask you, what is this app for? What do you do with it?
Sure. Well, I would say for our existing customers who know Capture One Pro very, very well, and maybe already Capture One on the iPad as well, you've now got the power of Capture One also in a smaller interface. So obviously in something this size as opposed to your desktop, laptop, or an iPad Pro or something like that. So it's the same image quality that you know and love from Capture One. Image Core, which is the brains or the engine inside Capture One, is exactly the same in Capture One on the iPad, exactly the same in Capture One for iPhone, and of course exactly the same on the desktop. So you lose nothing in quality, even when you're shooting directly to your iPhone. So I think that's a really important principle. It's mostly, this app is centered around, tethering and collaboration. We'll talk a little bit about tethering in a second, what you need to have set up for that. But you can also edit on it as well, of course. It wouldn't be Capture One if you couldn't edit. So we'll have a run through and see what kind of tools you can use as well.
Amazing. So you mentioned this is mainly for tethering. So it's actually a really pioneering thing to tether into an iPhone. So I was wondering, what do we need to tether into the iPhone?
Yeah, it certainly is pretty pioneering, if I can say that word, to actually get that power of Capture One into a small device like this and experience the same speed and responsiveness and so on. And that's in part down to the technology squashed inside such a small device like that from Apple. So it's pretty cool that we actually have the hardware to be able to do that. But to be able to tether, there's a couple of things you need to have. So you've got choices. You can go wired, so with your USB cable, more on that in a second, or you can go wireless. We'll talk about the pros and cons between the two of those as well. But let's talk about wired first of all. So you need to connect to your iPhone. Oh, sorry, this way. I'm mirrored where I'm looking at. So you need one of these adapters. So these are Apple camera adapters. They both do exactly the same thing. This one here, the slightly chunkier one, they have USB-A ports. So they've both got USB-A ports. But this one also has an input for power. So if you want to keep your iPhone topped up with charge, if you're using it over an extended period, then it makes sense to use this one. But they both do exactly the same job. So it's Apple camera adapter. What you can't use, and I'm just pulled this out as an example, is just a simple Lightning to USB cable. So that won't work because there is some additional hardware inside these adapters which control the connection to the camera. So if you pull out your charging cable, your USB-C or USB-A to Lightning, it's not going to work. So it's really important that you have one of those adapters.
I have to say I did that, even though I was told not to do that. I was like,
let's try it.
I will still test it because it fits into the port. So
it does.
What's the harm? Yeah, but it doesn't work. So
exactly.
So good point.
Now there are third-party versions of this, like you might find them referred to as on-the-go adapters. There's probably hundreds you could find, but we can't test all of them. But we've tested obviously the Apple ones, and these ones work fine. So that would be our recommendation. And of course, we also need, poke myself in the eye with it.
To tether you.
A cable to tether with as well. Now this is, as you probably guessed, a Tether Tools cable in famous orange. So if you are going to tether extensively, just put that over there, like you will see Brandi and Rebecca doing a bit later, then it makes sense to have a decent cable. You'll see on their videos that are coming up, they're positioned a little bit further away from the phone, so it makes sense to have some distance. But I found this cable just at home, which is a USB-A to USB-C. I think it was for charging the microphone actually, and this works fine as well. So if you just want to have a go and try, then dig around in the cable drawer, which if it's like mine is bursting at the seams, and you'll find something to be able to connect as well.
Just some clarification, it can be a cable that you have around at home, but it needs to be a data transfer cable, right? Not just for charging.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, not just a charging cable. Absolutely. Yep.
Amazing. So thank you so much for the cable rundown. I think it's super important to understand this when you wanna tether into your phone, because there's these things that are needed to know. I'm guessing you can also do wireless, right?
Yeah, so wireless as well. So the advantage, if you like, of being wired is speed, because you get the maximum transfer speed from camera to phone. If you want more freedom, if you don't want to be physically connected to your phone, then you can go wireless. There's quite a few cameras that can do that. So Sony, Canon, Fujifilm now as well, Nikon, no doubt more, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you go to our support site, support.capture1.com, then you'll be able to see a list of compatible cameras. And that normally involves connecting the camera to the Wi-Fi network, and then it just appears in Capture One. But every manufacturer has a slightly different menu system, of course, but we've made some guides for all the different manufacturers to take you through the setup that you need to do. So you can find that on our support
I'm sure
site.
you have many amazing, thorough, as always, tutorials and guides on how to tether both wire and wirelessly.
We do,
I wanted to ask you, like, I'm guessing that we should be on the lookout very soon for more detailed tutorials, because today we're having just a product demo, a quick presentation on what to do and how you do it. But I'm guessing that you will have soon, or you already have some tutorials.
Yep, we do. So again, on our support site, support.capture1.com, which is pretty easy to remember, there's extensive written guides if you prefer to learn in that manner. There's also a couple of video tutorials as well. So there's a basic tour, and there's also how to set up for tethered wired connection. The wireless tutorials we left as written instruction because it's kind of a step-by-step thing, which is easier to read rather than watch a video, pause, rewind it, pause, rewind it. But you'll find everything you need to know to get started.
Amazing. So today it's just a short presentation. So while you get ready to present that, there's a couple things I wanted to run you through. So of course there is a free trial for the app. So simply scan the code that you can see on the screen, and that would get you to the App Store. And there you can download a free trial for our iPhone app if you haven't tried it yet. And also, if you may have tested it already during the beta testing phase, which was super successful, and thanks to everyone who contributed to that with their feedback. So if you already know what you need and you want to go for it, and you want to simplify this whole thing with the cables, the adapters, and you just want to get a nice package that brings it all together to you, I wanted to let you know that there is this promotion that we put up together with our partners, B&H and Wex Photo Video, in which you can buy all of this as a bundle, everything you need to work with the Capture One mobile app, and the adapter and the right tethering cable for you. Okay, so I think that David is ready now, so I'm just going to hand it over to him. There you go.
Cool. So hopefully that's in focus. I think it is. Give me a shout if the screen is blurry, but it should
be sharper.
And let's just give that a little tweak. Probably about it, I would think. So as I said, you can see a pretty good rundown on our support site, but I'll give you the basics. Whoops, sorry, I was just going to make it a bit brighter, but ended up tweaking focus. So let's just brighten that up a little bit. There we go. So yeah, you'll be able to see a nice rundown on the support site, but I'll just give you a quick tour of the app here. So down the bottom here, you'll see three icons. I'll read them out. It says Albums, Import, and Connect. So we'll look at connecting tethered in a second and doing a couple of shots. And we'll look at Capture One Live, which is what I mentioned as well. You can import existing files from your camera roll or from files. So let's just show you how that runs. So if I hit Import, I'm going to say Import from Photos at the top here. This message you're going to see the first time you open up the import. So you can either give Capture One access to all your photos or a current selection. So I'm sure you don't want to see all my stupid memes and screenshots and everything. So I just pre-selected a bunch of pictures that we can import. So these were shot, the raw files that were shot by Kayla Connors for the campaign. So I've got 8 pictures here. So I'm going to select all of those and simply import those into Capture One. See the progress bar at the top. It's pretty nifty. And if I go to the latest import, we can see those pictures there. Now, back in this first screen, this is where we can organize into various different albums. So if I just go to this latest import and say select, and then I'm going to select all of them, and then I can add them to an album. So I'm going to make a new album, and let's just call that Kayla. Like so, and then add those pictures to it. So now if I just cancel out of that, go back to my albums, and we've got the pictures from Kayla in there. So you can make as many of those various different albums as you like, and we're going to also make an album for a capture collection when we look onto shooting tethered, and you'll see how simple that is. But just tapping on any of these pictures opens it up in the editing interface, if you like. Double tap takes me to 100%, and you can see the speed again. This is a full RAW file, so it's not a JPEG. So you can see, quick tap like that, and we're rendered at 100%. Then I can scroll around the picture, check for sharpness, and so on. So as I said, thanks to modern hardware that you get in a phone like this, allows you to, work with high resolution images like so. So along the bottom, we've got 5 different categories. So we can review, we can add star ratings and color tags. We've got some built-in styles. So if we just go to this category, you can see along the bottom there, along the bottom there, the styles. It previews how the style is going to look with the thumbnail of the picture. And then if we want to, we can add a style, just as simple as that. You can add your own styles. So if you've created styles in Capture One on your desktop, as an example, then you can simply airdrop them over to your phone and then double tap on them and they will install straight away into Capture One. So again, as I said, it's the same engine. So exactly the same styles will work in Capture One Pro as they will on the iPhone. Jumping out of that for a second, sorry, no, not jumping out of that. Going back into the adjust mode here, you can see your various different editing parameters down here. So if I wanted to just chuck in a bit more contrast like so, I can do so. Maybe just bump up the exposure slightly. You get the idea. So it's a super simple interface to be able to adjust. Double tap anywhere, that takes those back down to 0, like so. And if I want to see a before and after, so let's just zoom in again. If I long tap on the interface, then I can see before and after, like so. So very speedy to move around the app, super simple to make adjustments. There's obviously other adjustment potential in here. I won't go through all of them, but we've got a color editor. We've got the ability to change its sharpening and noise reduction, add film grain, and so on. Now, any edit that you do here, of course, then you can export that out, move it over to Capture One Pro if you want to, or of course you can deliver directly from the iPhone as well. So if I wanted to export this, I can tap on export. We can export JPEGs, TIFFs, the original RAW file, something called an EIP, which is the RAW file with the adjustments. So we can take those out and bring that into Capture One Pro and to do further editing if we wish. Or we can just go straight to JPEG with some handy presets that we've already set up here as well. So you can edit and deliver directly from the iPhone if you wish. All right, let's show you how to tether, which is super simple. So first of all, I'm going to prepare an album for tethering. So I'm going to make a new album. Let's call this Velade. You'll see why in a second. We're going to create that album. I'm entering this album and I'm going to assign this as the capture album. I don't have to do this, but by creating a capture album, it means that any capture that I make, you can see the symbol up here in the top left-hand corner. That's now my capture album. Any capture that I make is going to go straight to that. Now, if I didn't make that, it would just go into the all captures album at the bottom, but it's nice to be able to obviously separate out your shoots. And then to tether, simple as this, I'll take the skinny adapter and plug that into the bottom, and I'm going to turn my camera on. I'm shooting with a Fujifilm X-H2, and we're going to connect this up, and then I'm going to mention, because I just saw a question come up about it, so you can see my Fuji has connected straight away. I saw a question just whiz past me. Where are the images saved? So that's a really good question. John was asking that. So when you tether, so I've just connected to this Fuji now, as you can see. When you tether and when I shoot, the RAW files are going to be stored directly on the phone storage itself. Now, you saw earlier with export, I can export them out. If I want to export out the RAW files, I can do so. I can connect an SSD drive if I wish and export out to that, and so on and so forth. But if you would like to have an additional copy of the RAW file on the camera card, then if we look in settings, you'll see the first option here. If I just go into that, so it's set up to save the RAW file to the card as well. So I can say RAW and JPEG, RAW only, or just a JPEG to the card, and so on. Now, this is obviously the Fuji camera, so you might see the terminology vary a little bit depending what camera you have. It's not possible on all camera models, but the vast majority. Again, if you're not sure, you can always contact us at support and we can walk you through a few things, or you can find it on our support site as well. So it's definitely possible to shoot to the camera and to the phone at the same time. Cool. So my camera's connected. Let's just open up that album for a second. I'm not going to win any prizes for photographic prowess today because I'm kind of wedged in a little tiny space. So don't judge me on my photographic skills. So I'm just going to take off a shot and then you'll see that come in a second. So there's a shot. I'm going to go and shoot kind of quickly now, just so you can see the speed of what's going on. So if I shoot a bunch of pictures kind of quickly one after the other, you'll see at the speed at which they come in as well. So pretty rapid, right? And this is an XH2. So that's the 40 megapixel camera. So it's not the XH2S, which is a little bit smaller. That's the big one. Now, of course, as Brandi and Rebecca are going to say, kind of good benefit here is that we can obviously apply our own look and style. So I'm just going to quickly throw on let's go for cozy full. Shall we do that? And I'm just going to make a slight adjustment as well. Let's just bump up the exposure a little bit and pull the highlights down. So that's already from my style. So now I've made a few adjustments. So if I just go back, what we're going to look at here is, sorry, let's just pop back in here in a second. This is what I wanted to show you. Next capture adjustments. So that simply means as I shoot, those same adjustments will be applied to the next pictures. So if I just crack off a couple more pictures again, one-handed, like so. It's pity the other camera isn't on, Alex, because then you could see the stupid position that I'm in. So if I just take a few more pictures, you can see those loading up onto the phone, and that's exactly carrying over all those same adjustments, like so. Let me just check that I haven't skipped anything. Yeah, you can see it's very simple. So it's that basic connection, saw the camera came up straight away, create that album, set up your shot with your style or whatever, make a few other edits, and then straight away you can just go ahead and start shooting with next capture adjustments. And you've got great, fantastic RAW files sitting in your iPhone with Capture One quality. Oh yeah, good little birdie told me on a hint in the background. In terms of connecting, then what you'll find with a lot of newer cameras that have USB-C ports is that as soon as you attach anything with a power source to a USB-C port, it will be like, oh, thanks, you're going to charge me up. But you don't want your phone to be charging your camera because very quickly, of course, you're going to run out of battery power on the phone. So it does make sense to disable camera charging in the camera menu. And the only other thing you might have to do on the camera itself is just make sure that it's set up for USB tethering. So there we go. Shall I share you a Capture On Live link?
Let's do it.
Marie, as well. Awesome. Okay, so you can see up here in the top right hand corner there's these two people huddled together. So that's a collaboration icon which is going to set us up for Capture On Live. So if I tap on that, what's going to happen is that instantly those shots are going to be uploaded to our cloud service. And when I say those shots, I don't mean the raw files. We upload a much smaller proxy, if you like, the same quality in terms of the look and the adjustments, but it means that Alex, for example, will be able to see that shot. So I'm just going to copy that link and send that over to Alex. 1 second. So I'm just going to grab it here. So let's copy that link. Send that over to Alex, which you can't see me doing. There we go. So I've sent that over to Alex. And essentially what that gives Alex is a view of this particular shoot, which then she can rate, tag, and make comments on. So let's just sneak this phone over into the right spot in my little letterbox here. Yeah, and as you can see, Alex can just go nuts and start rating and tagging, and that will sync immediately back. So you can see this guy up here, like so, just got immediately rated. You've done some star ratings and other color tags I can see. And you can see the rate of, wow, 1 star. That's a bit harsh. So you can see that one's rated like so. And just to point out, Alex is, of course, in a totally different country to me, and you can see the speed at which we can operate at. So it does mean if you're working with a remote client, then they can instantly get feedback, or you can get feedback from your client on the shoot and see exactly what you need to do, which ones they have selected, which ones they've commented on, and so on and so forth. So you've got that brilliant pro feature right inside your iPhone. Fantastic.
Great. Nice.
Looks good.
Okay, so while you go back to your headshot, I'm just
Sure.
going to put up again the QR code that would get you to our free trial of the iPhone app. Well, it's a mobile app, so it would also give you a test to the iPad app if you haven't tried that out yet. And just also to remind you that there is also this bundle in which you can also actually save if you get it all as a package. And not only about the money, it's like it's nice to get it as a package so you don't have to think too much about what adapter you need to get. And yeah, this is with the product demo. So it was, as always, a fantastic demo, David. Thank you so
Always
much.
a pleasure.
You are always spot on. So clear.
I remember that 1-star rating though, but
oh, come on.
As I said, shooting one-handed.
Can't all be good. Otherwise,
exactly.
It can't all be good. If all the feedback's good, then something's wrong.
I can never improve. I know.
So thank you so much for being a part of this presentation today. Thank you for the demo, and we'll be looking forward to your tutorials as well.
Cool. Thank you.
See you another day.
Bye.
All right. So we're back with me, but just very briefly. So after this demo, we'll be bringing on very shortly our guests, Brandi Nicole and Rebecca Spencer, who are already with me on the background. But before I bring them up, I wanted to show you some things that they have been working on. They have created these 2 super short videos to show us first how they worked with the app. So after the product demo, we know the app, we know how it works, and we know what it's capable of. So now what we wanted to actually show you is what would you use it for and how, in which scenarios. So I'll just leave you with the videos shot by Brandi and Rebecca, and we'll be with them in a second. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi.
So nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining.
Super excited.
Brandi Nicole on top, joining from New York City. Rebecca Spencer joining from London. How are you guys doing?
Good. Really good. Excited about this.
I'm so
I
excited
also love
too.
how both of our videos are like kind of the opposite
different.
vibe. Yeah, I know.
I was just
Seeing
gonna
them
say
play
that.
right after another it's a treat.
I love the contrast on them, and I also love the fact that they're shot on 2 very different cities actually, but they both have these things in common, that both are super vibrant, super fast-paced. So I think that ties in nicely with the iPhone app actually. So I'm very happy that you got to shoot those, because I think it gives people a better understanding about which situation you would use it on. So let's start with the first things first. So can you introduce yourselves a little bit and tell us a little bit more about your photo background? How did you start to get into photography? What do you shoot?
Yeah,
Brandi, do you want to go first? Yeah.
Yes. How about that? So yes, I'm Brandi Nicole. I'm a portrait photographer based in New York City, originally from Kansas City. So that's where the smiles come from. Always get like, you're not from here. So yes, I shoot with Nikon and Sony right now. A variety of things, from self-portraiture to creative brand work to like luxury client portraits, and also the occasional like corporate headshot. Honestly, if it involves a camera in my hands and I'm in creative control, like I'm good. That's all I want to do with my life. So yeah, that's kind of the skinny version.
Amazing. And hi, I'm Rebecca Spencer, and I would say that I'm a fashion, beauty, lifestyle photographer based here in London. I work a lot with influencers, fashion campaigns, and also work on a lot of like beauty events, and just trying to like really just like let people be themselves and really kind of capture like creative, candid imagery. And yeah, that's a bit about background.
Thank you for a super brief introduction. So next thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you come across Capture One the first time? And when did that happen, actually?
Ooh, I would say, yeah, I'll go first. I think I started using Capture One about 4 or 5 years. Oh, wow. It's been around 5+ years. And yeah, it's been wonderful. I feel like making that switch completely leveled up my photography. And so now I can't go back, it's like.
Yeah, I would say mine's a bit shorter, maybe like 3 years. And first time using it, I just remember being like super excited because I felt like it was such like a new elevated platform for photography. And I feel like it just like brings so much professionalism and allows you to be like super in control of your photo shoots. So I was super excited to like get into it and like, yeah.
Brilliant. So now let's get right into talking about the new iPhone app. So you both have been working with this app for a couple of weeks now. So I wanted to ask you, what were your first impressions? How did you find the user interface, adapting to the app after working with Capture One Pro for a long time?
I found it like super easy. It's really easy to navigate. It's like super fast paced as well. Like it's just so seamless that it feels like just too seamless, like, and so easy. And being a Capture One user, I found it really easy to navigate, but I still feel like if you were a new user, you'd find it really easy to navigate it too.
Yeah, same. I think it's super intuitive if you are used to using the desktop. Honestly, I had no issues. Just I downloaded it and started shooting, and no issues at all. And
Feels too good to be true.
Yeah, exactly. Usually with apps, I'm frustrated and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. What's going on? Like,
yeah,
none of that.
No, it's super easy.
So I get it that working for a long time with Capture One Pro, you both usually tether. And I wanted to ask you, how does this new thing change the way you move into your locations? Like, I'm assuming that you were tethering before on location, or maybe just shooting straight to the SD card and then just like dumping the photos on Capture One. How does this new thing change your location setup?
Who wants to go first?
I know.
I mean, for me, it's been like major because I feel like in a studio, you really get like that professionalism, like you get to like tether, have monitors and like really show the client what's happening. But when you go to location, it's a little bit more stressful. You have to have like a big C-port case. So I feel like this really like lowers the amount of kit that you have, but you're also still allowing the client to have a big visual of what's going on. And I think that's super important. So it's nice to be able to like carry that kind of professional shoot onto location without it being like a massive ordeal with loads of kit.
Yeah, I think shooting on location has always been more of a hassle, more of a challenge, especially if it's for a client, because I'm shooting to a card because I'm not bringing a laptop out in New York City. So I'm shooting to a card, and then I'm going to have to come home and dump the cards, copy them, then start culling and editing. So for me, shooting on location, this is like a godsend. It's definitely speeding things up in terms of, well, the whole editing and culling process.
So you would actually see yourself tethering into an iPhone on a regular basis. I wanted to ask you, for which kind of projects would you do this?
For me, like anything, all of them, especially ones that have a really tight deadline, or, clients, anything on location specifically. Also, just that ability to put it in my pocket and be shooting, like, is perfect. But yeah, any shoot, especially that has or needs like some sort of client or team approval right away. I mean, everybody always wants things right now, yesterday. So yeah.
Yeah, and same for me. And I'm working a lot with like beauty in London at the moment. There's a big fashion, big beauty like events at the moment where we need to send images right away. So for me, this is like, I'm so excited to put this in my workflow. I just feel like it's just going to be able to like let me give the images that I want to give over, which are also going to be like color graded and amazing quality.
So what would be your favorite feature inside the app?
You want to go first?
I feel like ours is the same, but
yeah.
well, there's kind of two. So I love the fact that we can back up as we go onto an SD card. It gives me so much reassurance as a photographer. I feel like I'm super stressy about losing images. So I feel like having images on a memory card and on the iPhone is just great for security. And I also just love the Capture Live feature. I think it's amazing to collaborate. You get instant feedback. And also I just love collaborating as a creative. That's like why we do what we do. It makes everyone feel more involved. And also I just love like an instant reaction. I think that's why I love photography so much. You're getting that like instant, and it gives like an atmosphere and everyone gets really excited. And yeah, I think it just like, it's really like cool to have everyone like so involved. And like you said, like it could be someone in New York and collaborating with someone in London. Like,
If I can just comment
amazing.
on that before you go ahead, Brandi. It's just like,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you brought up like the whole atmosphere on set, because when I found out about Capture One, that was like about 5 years ago, and I started tethering, it completely transformed the whole experience. Like not iPhone obviously because it didn't exist, but like the tethering experience completely transformed for me the way you work in the studio and the way you work with the people, and it just becomes more fun, you know, like the capability for everyone to tap in and to bring in their influences, their know-how. I think it just becomes so much more enjoyable as an experience, and obviously the results are also better. And now I'll leave it to you, Brandi. I just wanted to tap in.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, same. Like obviously the biggest for me is being able to be shooting on location and then sharing that Capture One Live link and getting people's real-time feedback, like star ratings or color ratings, or hey, can we do more of this or less of this? Like that is favorite feature by far, because that's just changing the game. But I think also kind of like on a personal note, like one of my other favorite features is that ability to change the coloring. And for me, I'm always, you know, adjusting color and exposure and things like that. Like I'll shoot something really kind of grayed out and basic and then make my color adjustments on top of that. So to be able to do that in the app and then also have every shot be that same adjustment style is amazing. Again, because like if I'm sending those photos out in a link to a client, I want to make sure that they look nice and not just like my grayed out baseline raw photo. So that's another, I mean, I love that.
Amazing. So I love that you both are so aligned on the collaboration part. So the next question would be, who do you usually collaborate with on a project?
Well, for me, I'm always shooting with a model, unless it's a self-portrait. Even with a self-portrait, honestly, though, I like to be able to see it in my pocket and then put it back. Like, that's amazing. But yeah, always with a model, a makeup artist, and maybe more teammates, like a stylist or hairstylist. And then, of course, the client aspect could be one person to a whole team, right? So, I mean, we probably have similar answers there, but there's quite a few people.
Yeah, and also like I think it's also just like great to like respect everyone on the shoots, like make sure like hair and makeup are getting feedback right away, make sure they get that headshot and they're happy and that gets signed off. Styling from a styling point of view to make sure that everything's in place. Yeah, and then like for me as well, it could be literally just me and an influencer or a model, and then it could also be like a really massive team as well. But I also like to create the link now and just suggest it, because I just think it's so fun. Like if someone is back at the office, to also feel like they're a part of the shoot, because they probably did do loads of back work for it, even if they're not actually on the shoot.
Also, like, you know, I like your point, like, in the end of the day, it's everybody's work that makes the photo what it is. It's not only the photographer, it's also the model and the makeup artist
everyone.
and the stylist. So there's a lot more to it than just a photographer, obviously. So
yeah, and I feel like Capture One allows that to happen with the tethering, because it makes everyone happy, like make sure everyone's showing their best work.
Definitely.
Also, it helps in the call, right? Like I might say that a little bit later, but
Yeah,
like,
that's like-
honestly, it's just like, yeah, you tell me your favorite. That would be great.
Go ahead.
Do the selects
Go
for
ahead.
me.
That'd be wonderful.
It's actually, I think, one of the toughest parts about photography, like the whole culling part. So yeah, it's good when someone does it for you. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right, so I wanted to also ask you, how do you see this new thing, this new app for the iPhone integrating with the rest of your workflow with Capture One Pro or like any other software or hardware that you may be using right now?
You want to take this one first?
Yeah. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, like how do you see this new app integrating with the rest of your workflow, like the what you already did before the app came out?
Yeah. So obviously using Capture One Pro on the desktop has always like been in my workflow. So I think now also I feel like sometimes like I was on a shoot the other day where the whole shoot was in a studio and then last minute it was like, actually, can we go outside? And like we weren't like necessarily prepped for that. But I feel like now having something so accessible like your iPhone, which you always have on you, you're always now going to have a monitor to tether. And yeah, I'm so excited to like use this now like every day and get like instant reactions and yeah.
Have that
It's gonna be
flexibility.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like an
Exactly.
all-in-one. It makes everything seamless, organized from like shooting to sharing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, same. Like, it's been really cool to be able to shoot to my iPhone and then again send out the link, make my selects, kind of hear from my teammates, and then instead of importing the hundreds of photos, I can only import my selects, and those EIP files, right, to Capture One, and then just it's so sped up that I don't see why I would want to. I mean, especially, I guess it depends on what types of shoots, but if I'm needing something quick, which is almost always, or working with a team, then it's shooting with this new workflow really speeds things up. And in my world, that is time is money, right?
Literally.
Yeah.
We'll get evenings back.
Yes. What?
So do you think that anyone shooting on location basically, or like that needs to be on this fast pace, do you think that anyone like that would benefit from using this app?
Yes.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
So fast paced.
Yeah. I mean, and whether you're a professional or like an emerging, or, you're just starting with photography too, like you have the professional aspects of Capture One desktop on your phone, right? So it's amazing.
Yeah, and like treat yourself as the client, like enjoy seeing that image come in, like critique it yourself, and be like, actually, now I need to do this, like as an emerging like new photographer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really exciting.
Yes.
Right, and
And
like
seeing
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, and seeing like the photos on a screen already, it kind of helps instead of the back of a camera, right? Like I found that it's so nice to just have like that backlit screen and kind of flip through and be like, this is what we're getting, You what?
And also like in the generation that we are, that like everything is like, if I am shooting for social media, the viewer is going to view it on a phone screen. So that also feels really organic to actually see it on a phone screen compared to a camera screen, because that's actually how the consumer is going to take in that content.
Yeah,
It definitely helps. And also like think about like we have a phone in our hands like basically every moment of every day. And it just feels so natural for us to scroll through photos on a phone. Not so much on a camera though, because when you work with people on set, not all of them may need to know what the camera dials are or how it works. So simply the ability to just give them a phone to do it, it just feels much more natural, much more intuitive, definitely. I agree with you.
And even from like a safety of your camera point of view, like you're also taking people away from holding your camera. It's like, you look over there.
Yeah.
That's something we want to avoid.
Or better yet, I'm sending you a link. Yeah. You look on your own phone.
Love it.
No, definitely. But there is a lot that's changing, and every time clients get more and more demands, and obviously a big one these days is immediacy, because of how social media is shaping our realities and because how the work works, basically. So that's a thing. And photography is obviously not an exception, and it's also changing super fast. And there's a lot going on, and we don't really know what's going on. So I wanted to ask your opinion on that. So wanted to ask you, where do you see the future? Like, you both come from two very different cities, from two very different countries. So what do you think it's going in your context, in your country? And where do you think Capture One fits in all this landscape?
Yeah, I can take this one first.
I don't mind.
Yeah, so in New York, obviously, it's a city that's go, go, go. And for me, the lighter and smaller and more compact and quicker that I can be, the more efficient I can be, the better job I can do, right? And that's not just me. That's pretty much everyone, right? Like, we all want a kit and our setup to be fairly lightweight, super flexible, especially if you're shooting on location, right? And I see the industry is going that way too, right? Like, we want smaller lights, we want lighter backpacks, and Capture One is this like obvious integration of all of those things, right? Like, instead of having a computer, you can just go on your phone. It feels like the obvious next step in the evolution of tethering.
100%. And like, same with me, like, I feel like, especially here in London, like, everyone wants everything now. So like, I feel like my role as a photographer, especially here in London, is to do that and send content so it gets posted right away. And I feel like now with the Capture One, with the iPad and the iPhone, I feel like now I can still be like, give the images out that I really want to give, instead of like decreasing the quality or like just sending a JPEG instead of a RAW, be able to add my style to it. Like, I just feel like it's just kind of blown up, and like, I feel like I can actually send the images that I'm actually really proud of now, thanks to this new technology.
Yeah, it's obviously all going towards the goal of sending as like to delivering the best quality possible in the shortest possible time. So obviously this was not possible before. This kind of immediacy and this quality was not possible before. And obviously clients want to see things right away, and they want to participate in the project, as we said before, and they want to give feedback. And obviously this is possible thanks to technology, as you said, Rebecca. So I was wondering, sometimes we are tempted to stay with what worked for us for many, many years, but sometimes that doesn't always work. So I was wondering, how do you keep up to date with everything that's changing, with everything that's going on? How do you learn, and how do you make the time to put these new things and to implement these new things in your workflow?
I feel like it's no choice, right, Brandi? Like, when you work in this creative industry, like, you just have to be like on it with new technology, and like, it's actually just like no choice. Like, and also that, and then just like, or like, even like book then a test shoot in to, like, that's what I've been doing, like with this, is like booking shoots in, like creative ideas to use it in my workflows. Then I can like, I'm like, okay, I trust this process, I love it, and now I'm going to use it now on like brand work. But it's just making that time.
I mean, yeah, I think I used to think like, oh, I can't wait until like I know everything there is to know about photography, be like that master level. But you are always learning in this industry,
Always.
right? Like, you are constantly being met with new technology, new apps, new equipment, and you kind of have to evolve with that, or at least familiarize yourself with, what's available, because it's easy to kind of, I mean, getting left behind sounds a little dramatic, but it's easy to become out of touch with what's available. And if you familiarize yourself with things, like this app, I think it genuinely can increase your workflow and efficiency. And for me, that's invaluable. I mean, you're only making yourself like at that much better of a position.
And it's exciting. Like, I get excited about learning about something new. Like, there's something about it. It gives me like adrenaline, like, and then like turning up to a job and like, oh my God, I've learned this. Like, I love being the person to be like, oh my God, like, have you tried this?
Yeah,
like,
you're showing people like this cool new technology or technique, and you're like,
they probably don't care as much as me, but
Yeah. Well, they do care, right? When you can show them like, hey, here are the photos like coming up live.
Yeah,
right
and then they're
now.
like, oh, I have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, It's, in the end of the day, it's about, things are coming up, and you didn't bring that up now, but I thought before you made a very good point, Brandi, about like, what happened when the whole switch from film to digital, like there's different tools.
Yes.
You just go with them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why, like, I had a metaphor in my mind earlier about like, why would you continue to shoot only JPEG knowing that RAW exists? unless you only need that for some reason, but if you're on a professional shoot, like, and you're not using that up-to-date technology, or you're still shooting film, but you don't have those capabilities of like digital for a client shoot, it just, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage is how I see it. Yeah.
And like, there's no limit. Like, I feel like you can just like then push it even further. Like, actually, can I add a layer to this now? Can I add a style? Like, you could just learn so much. There's so much to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So this was an amazing interview. Thank you so much. And there is just one last question that I wanted to ask you to wrap it up. But it was a fantastic like divagation on all these things, like the future of photography and technology and so on. And I think it's super spot on. So just to wrap it up, I wanted to ask you both. Now you are both established photographers, but I guess it was not always so, right? So as an aspiring photographer 10, 15 years ago, what would you have liked to hear? What would you tell these people that are starting right now?
Who wants to go first?
I know. You want to take this one first?
Yeah, sure. So for me, it would be like, if you have an idea, do it. Like, there's like, when you have that first creative idea, like that feeling that you get, like that's when that time is to do that photo shoot. Like, listen to your intuition always. I always feel like when I'm on a photo shoot and I have like a weird idea, that's always going to end up being my favorite shot of the shoot. And the other thing is, like, you can never invest enough back into it. Like, I always invest everything back into photography. And I don't even mean money. Like, I just mean time, energy, education, like testing, meeting new people, communicating with people in the industry. Because every day in this industry, even like, 7 years in this industry, I'm learning something new every day. And yeah, just never, like, always like keep going.
I love that. I love that reinvesting bit too. Like, that's a bit of advice that I wish I had earlier on, because it always feels a little scary to invest in, whether it's in a tutorial or equipment or whatever it is, it can be scary.
Even if it just inspires you, if it's one little thing that's going to inspire you, like, that's priceless.
I've never regretted anything I've invested into. You're always learning. Yeah, for me, one of the biggest things that I always say that I wish I had known earlier is that, or I guess how should I word this? In the beginning, I was shooting constantly, trying to please and do things for other people, right? Like, somebody would be like, "Oh, I love like how they did that," and I'm like, I can do that, like, let me go over here and like do a whole photo shoot like that just to show you. And I think I was, there is something to be said about a lot of experimentation, but to a point, right? Like, once you start to identify what it is that you like to shoot, you enjoy shooting, like, kind of keep going towards that. Like, really listen to what it is that is bringing you joy and just focus on that, right? Because it's easy to get disheartened. And I think to, kind of, I see a lot of people like lose their love in a way because they're just like shooting things that they feel like they need to, as opposed to what they want to, right? So if you had a particular style that you feel like you haven't explored yet, but that's something that you want, then like just shoot that. Create your entire portfolio of a style that is unique to you, because that's really how you'll get your unique voice and platform in the whole world, right? Of just create what you want to create. That is what I wish I knew.
Wow, fantastic advice. I wish I heard that also some years ago. So thank you for that. I think it's been an amazing interview. So now I just put up your handles again if anyone's curious to check you out on Instagram, and I recommend you do because they are amazing and their work is amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So that's why I put that up. And I'm not sure if we have any questions that we can take. So meanwhile that they come up or not, I'm just gonna remind you again and show you again the QR to the trial of our new iPhone app available on the App Store. So scan the code, you'll get right to the App Store, and that's where you can find your app. And also from our partners B&H Photo and Wex Photo Video, if you want to get on your tethering bundle for mobile, you can also do that by scanning this code. Great. So I'm not sure that we have any questions for like related to the interview. It's just a lot of tech stuff that's being taken by our colleagues in the chat. And there's going to be a lot more opportunities to discuss the tech part and to dive deeper into the iPhone app. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of exciting things coming up very soon, both from David, from you. I'm sure that we'll get to see some more of your amazing content. So just thank you so much again for this interview. It's been fantastic. You both are great, and you have these great vibes going on. So I wish
Brandi, I feel like we need to like meet up.
I know. Let's do it. Maybe we can meet
somehow.
Or you come to New York, I come to London, something like this.
Amazing. So thank you so much. And I'm just going to say goodbye to you guys and wrap up the rest of the stream. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Whoops, sorry. Just cut too fast.
Encore.
Okay, now for real. Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us today on this live stream. We were all so excited. And we put a lot of work and effort into building this app, so we hope you're going to enjoy it. We hope that it's going to help you with your work and your workflow in general. We hope you enjoyed the stream as well. We hope you enjoyed the demo and meeting Brandi and Rebecca. They both are amazing. And nothing else left to say from me. Also, thanks to our partners again, V&H Photo and Wex Photo Video. And we'll hopefully see each other again soon. So until then, take care. Bye.